When you picture a medieval peasant wedding, what comes to mind? Maybe it's a scene straight out of a fairy tale. A rustic celebration, in a meadow, two young lovers defying the odds to marry for love, or maybe your mind goes darker. A grim transaction where a young woman is treated like property, her wedding night a terrifying public spectacle. The truth? It's far more complex and far more fascinating than either story. A medieval peasant wedding wasn't just a private celebration. It was a profoundly public event where the immense power of the Christian church, the harsh economics of the feudal system, and the unwritten rules of a tight-knit community all collided. To understand their weddings is to understand their world. So let's pull back the curtain on the romance and the rumors and discover what it was really like to get married as a peasant in the Middle Ages. Chapter 1. The Rules of the Game. Before a peasant couple could even think about a wedding feast, they had to navigate a maze of rules laid down by two powerful forces, the church and the lord of the manor. By the 12th century, the church had redefined marriage as a sacred, unbreakable bond, one of the seven sacraments. At the heart of this doctrine was a radical idea: mutual consent. Consent makes the marriage. Consensus facit nuptias. If a man and woman both said, "I take you to be my spouse," in the present tense, even in private without parental permission, a dowry, or a priest, they were, in the church's eyes, married. God was the only witness required. But this caused chaos. Secret or clandestine marriages whispered in barns and taverns led to endless disputes. Was this couple truly married? Or was it a false promise, leaving women and their children unprotected? To curb the confusion, the church introduced the banns of marriage in 1215. For 3 Sundays, a priest would announce the couple's intention to wed, giving the entire village a chance to raise objections. If, for example, the couple were too closely related or one was already married. It was public accountability, medieval style. While the church governed the soul, the lord of the manor governed the body and its labor. Most peasants were serfs. They weren't slaves, but they weren't free either. Their work and their children's future labor belonged to the manor, so a serf's marriage was very much the lord's business. Permission was required, especially if a woman planned to marry someone from another manor. Her family might have to pay a fine to compensate for the loss of her labor. In England, this was called the merchet, a stark reminder of their unfree status. So, the economics of love. Peasant marriages weren't about merging kingdoms. They were about merging resources for survival. The bride's family might contribute a practical dowry: pots, pans, bedding, maybe a pig or some chickens. The groom's family might provide access to land and a home. Most peasants couldn't afford to marry young. Instead, they spent their late teens and early 20s working as servants or laborers to save up for their own household. In many parts of Europe, the average age of first marriage hovered in the mid-20s for both men and women. This late marriage pattern even acted as a natural brake on population growth. Funny how echoes of this still remain. Today, many couples delay marriage until they're financially stable. Proof that the economics of love isn't just medieval. Chapter 2. The Road to the Altar. We often imagine nobles with arranged marriages and peasants marrying for love. But for peasants, marriage was usually a mix of affection and intense pragmatism. A husband needed a strong, healthy wife to share in farm work and bear children. A wife needed a man with secure tenancy who could support a family. But here's something surprising. In many peasant communities, pre-marital intimacy wasn't uncommon. This wasn't about loose morals, it was practical. Since marriage was for life, couples often wanted to make sure they were fertile. In some regions, a notable number of brides were already pregnant on their wedding day, with the pregnancy pushing the union forward. The formal engagement, handfast, was a serious, legally binding contract. Wealthy couples exchanged rings. Poorer ones often broke a coin in half, with each partner keeping a piece as a token. So, what did the bride wear? Forget white dresses. That color was linked to mourning. A peasant bride wore her Sunday best. Blue was popular, symbolizing purity and faithfulness. A bride might wear a blue ribbon in her hair or on her dress, a possible origin of the something blue tradition. Her hair was often worn loose, adorned with a simple garland of herbs like rosemary for remembrance. Chapter 3: The Wedding Day. The wedding was a public spectacle. The day began with a lively procession from the bride's home to the church, accompanied by musicians playing pipes and drums. The key moment happened not inside the church, but at its doors, in face ecclesia, before the face of the church. Here, the priest would ask for final objections, and the couple exchanged vows in the local language so everyone understood the promises being made. Afterwards came a nuptial mass and a blessing inside the church. The celebration wasn't a stately banquet, but a loud, joyful communal affair, often held in a barn or on the village green. It featured hearty foods like bread, pottage, and pork, washed down with plenty of ale. Entertainment came from the villagers themselves: music, dancing, and storytelling. Then came the most unusual part. The wedding guests escorted the couple to their bedchamber, helped them undress, and ceremonially put them to bed. This sounds bizarre today, but it wasn't about voyeurism. It was a final act of community witnessing, confirming the marriage would be consummated. But community power had a darker side. If a union broke the village's social norms, say a young man marrying a wealthy widow, the villagers might respond with a charivari, a rough music, banging pots, shouting insults, and singing lewd songs outside the couple's home. It was a noisy, intimidating way to enforce community values. Think of it as medieval cancel culture, with drums. Chapter 4: Echoes in Our Time. A medieval peasant wedding was a world away from modern ideas of romance. It was a public, pragmatic institution shaped by faith, feudal economics, and community oversight. And yet, within that rigid framework, there was space for affection, joy, and celebration that brought the whole village together. From vows at the church door to a shared feast and even the bedding ceremony, marriage wove the couple into the very fabric of medieval life. And maybe, just maybe, echoes of this linger. Today, weddings remain community events. Guests witness vows, celebrate with feasts, and sometimes even police relationships, though now it's with viral tweets, not banging pots. If you enjoyed this journey back in time, give this video a like and subscribe. Check out my sources below, and see you in the next one.